Hey everybody, today we're installing the hot headliners onto my JLU. It's a real straightforward install, so let's jump right in. As part of the install, we're going to be installing the hot headliner sound assassin strips. It's a really straightforward thing to do. You line up these strips with the grooves in your top and then roll them into place. But before we get into all of that, we're going to go ahead and sand down the surfaces where we're going to be applying the 3M backing as well as these sound assassin strips. Hot headliners provides a square sheet of sandpaper for you to be able to sand down the grooves as well as the spots that these 3M backings on the actual insulated panels are going to be sitting.
A few moments later.
As you can see, it doesn't take a lot. We're just hand sanding the main points of contact for the sound assassin strips as well as the insulated panels. We're going to wipe it down and then we're going to apply acetone over the surfaces so that it actually makes it so that it's a real clean, dry, sticky surface.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, so the acetone has all been applied and the surfaces have been sanded. So the next thing that I'm going to do is cut and roll on these sound assassin strips. So the way they design these sound assassin strips is there's basically one for here, vice versa, one for here, one for here, and then on the last one, which is a small little piece, you basically use the two ends that you're cutting off from the main strips. And there's a lip along this front side that you're going to basically bump it up to, and then to the end of this little drawn in molding of the hardtop, and that's where you're going to cut it. The leftovers will consume the space for the final slot on the edge of the vehicle. A simple pair of regular scissors will suffice. Peel off the backing and stick it into place. And in order to not do this 4 times, I'm just gonna cut the strips, line them up and cut them at the same length.
A few moments later.
Now hot headliners provides this little roller, and you just roll it, press it on, and it'll now be in place.
A few moments later.
Now that the back two portions are sound assassin, I'm going to remove the front two hardtop panels over the front passenger and driver seats, and then apply the sound assassin to them, and the insulation, the headliner insulation to those. It'll be a little bit easier considering the shape of them and their size. This is my driver's side hard panel. I removed it and oriented it basically upside down, forward facing. The way that these strips are going to go though, unfortunately, the way they design them is to press them in at an uneven angle along all the slots. So the strips are slightly wider, and I assume that if you really wanted to, you could cut them down to be able to match these grooves. They didn't design them that way. Let's see. What I plan to do is mold these before I cut them, so that way I have more of a custom fit, because this thing's got a lot of weird angles to it. So I pushed it in along the edges, and it's flush to the top, so it won't get in the way of the panel. And then I'm gonna cut it with a pair of scissors to match the shape that I would like it to be in. And there we go. So now I'll just peel off the back and stick it in place. As you can see, this stuff leaves a tar-like residue.
A few moments later.
So as you can see, lots of real weird angles in these front hardtop pieces, but it worked out really well. The next thing I'm gonna do is put the panel on, and then this front portion will be done. The panels are marked. They are marked middle panels, and those are the ones that you're gonna stick in the middle of the vehicle.
A few moments later.
The last part of this is gonna be just installing these last back panels, and it should be pretty straightforward.
A few moments later.
The last part of this is going to be putting in the side panels for the side windows, and that consists of basically putting Velcro on one side around, matching up the ends, and then sticking the panels on. There's a line that goes on the top of this hard panel, and it's basically level, and there's about a 2-inch gap, 2.5-inch gap between that and this window. At the bottom of that line is where you want to line up this Velcro. And then for this window piece, even between the window and the end of your cab, and equal distance from top to bottom. Right, on the bottom, you just want to put it right in the middle, and then even across from front to back. On this front one, you want it right about in the middle and even top to bottom. And then slide in your panel. And this one's the Velcro, so it's a lot easier to stick than the top. Gonna repeat the process for the other side.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, the project's all done. The headliner went in really smooth, a little time consuming, but you know, it's a super easy project, probably one of the easiest things you can do to the JL. I assume that it's going to do everything that I want it to do based on the reviews, but let's go ahead and take a real quick look at everything in close detail. Alright, the installation's done, and I did it according to Hothead Headliner's instructions. I left my hardtop on. Now I ran into two things that were kind of a little bit confusing as far as their directions go, and then their video instructions show. If you're using the Sound Assassin strips, you're gonna run into a clearance issue where your roll bar speakers are. You're not gonna be able to quite reach those strips and roll them tight to the hardtop. I was able to be comfortable putting those strips in place with hand pressure and really flatten them out. I spent a little extra time doing that. But then I ran into another issue. They recommend you putting those headliners on with the hardtop on for the headliners themselves, and again, at that middle roll bar area where the speakers are, you are not able to reach your hand in there or anything reasonable and not mess up your headliners and push them to the hood or that hardtop. So what I would recommend is, as part of this, you can leave the hardtop on, but undo the bolts if you don't have quick releases and loosen up that hardtop so that when you get to that area and you push on it, you're able to just lift it up and not have any issues with it. That's the only recommendation that I have compared to their videos. I would highly recommend that, but you'd go ahead and do it with whatever way you're comfortable with. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again.